All right, let's go ahead and get going. We'll let folks in as they continue to join on. But thank you so much for being here today. Gina, Rita, Yolanda, Tracy, Chad, Rachel, Angel, Hafsna. So glad you're able to join us today and you're ready to get started on the Aligned Habits Workshop. We do these each week, so I'm glad you're able to join us this week for it. Uh, we really want to talk today about setting up where we're able to align our habits with the vision of our true selves, as well as setting big goals and then creating habits that align with those goals. So, this is a great way to do it, and I really appreciate you joining. Uh, Before we get going, there are a couple things that we're going to do. We're going to do a grounding exercise, we're going to do a journal prompt, and then we'll really start digging into it. I'll cover the the overview or flow of today's workshop. So, just want to start first with a question. And that is, what is one habit that you wish you could stick to that would change your life? What's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? So we'll give you just 1 minute to think about that, write it down. And if you want to share, by all means, raise your hand and be on camera and offer your comment verbally, or you can type it in the chat. Um, feel free to do either of those. Give you 1 minute. What's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? All right, those are great. See those coming in. Consistent morning routine. That's definitely a great one. We will talk some about that. That's one that I've stuck to for years. And even when I get out of it, coming back into it, it makes me feel so much better and gets me aligned on my habits. Things have been really out of sorts recently. We recently, in the last few weeks, just moved to Vermont and started kids. I have 5 kids starting school, et cetera. And so a lot's been up in the air. But getting back to my routines and the habits that we'll talk about today, this week was the first normal week I've had in a couple months, and it was so great getting back to my habits checklist, getting up early, getting to yoga and exercising. Gina wants to take immediate action every morning. Yeah, I mean that's a great habit. If you do that too, there's a great book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog about handling the toughest thing or the biggest priority early in the day. It's a great thing to take some immediate action on your top priority each day. We also got consistent, let's see, waking up early, meeting and networking with new people, Chad. Certainly, one, we got to put ourselves out there a lot of times if we want to accomplish our big goals. Uh, Repairing issues, disagreements with my significant other within 24 hours. Yeah, a great rule is don't go to bed mad. Don't go to bed with your significant other without settling it, apologizing or something. Get it out of the way first. My wife and I have a great thing we remind each other of all the time, which is don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. So we tell each other that regularly when we're getting all out of sorts about things. So thank you for sharing those. I appreciate it. And speaking of sharing, I failed to mention a minute ago, feel free to share. You can put things in the chat, but also feel free to raise your hand and share your thoughts and get some feedback. This is meant to be interactive and meant to invite you to share and get feedback. So a lot of times we also get feedback from those of you who are joining as well. And we're here to all help each other. So feel free to share. And next, before we really get going, I think we want to get fully present. I think that exercise helps a little bit, but we're going to take just a moment to get grounded and to be fully present here. So I want you to take this time for yourself and investing in yourself, spending this next, hour and a half or so, 90 minutes of being fully present, because you're going to learn a lot of things that can really change the trajectory of your life if you practice what we're going to discuss here today. So let's get grounded first and try not to be distracted by email or social media or text coming in. We're going to do a grounding exercise. And by doing this grounding exercise, we're just going to take a moment to find our breath, to get fully present here now, not distracted by all the outside worries and things that were going on, or the folks that were texting or direct messaging us before we got on, and just take a moment to find your breath. So close your eyes or drop your gaze down low if closing your eyes is not comfortable, and just find your breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Eyes closed or gaze down low. Now, together, we're going to do what's called four-part breath or box breath. And we're just going to do a couple of these. This is just for a few minutes. This rest of this class is a lot more about teaching, but we want to get grounded first. So I want you to take four-part breath. So breathe into a count of four through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it out. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold it at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to do this 2 more times. So deep breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. This type of intentional breathing helps us really get grounded and get back to ourselves and calm our nervous system. And we're just going to do a couple now of deep breath in through your nose, hold it at the top, and then sigh it out audibly through your mouth. Let it all go. We're going to do 2 more of those. Deep breath in through your nose, hold it, sips of air, and sigh it out. Let it all go. Let all that stuff go that's been troubling you. And one more deep breath in and sigh it out. All right, that feels good. Now, just find your normal breath again. Just breathe intentionally in through your nose, out through your nose, just returning to your normal breath. We're just going to take about 30 seconds or so of silence just to return to your normal breath, to get grounded and fully present. Don't stay stuck on any thoughts. Let the thoughts just pass like clouds. Just focus on your breath, in through your nose, out through your nose. All right. Start to flutter your eyes open, get fully present here. We're all here together to learn and grow today. So thank you for taking those few moments to get grounded and get back to yourself and to be fully present here now. So I want to you to know that, if you've struggled, and I saw people mention this in the comments earlier, if you struggle to stay consistent, a lot of people mention consistency. And it's not that you're falling short in life. It's that you've just been trying to force a version of yourself or a version of success that may not have been aligned with who you truly are. So today, we're going to reset that. We're going to cause a reset, and we're going to rebuild from your true self. So what we're going to cover in today's workshop is the flow of today is first, why most goals fail. I'm going to talk about what keeps us from our goals. Second, how to set the right ones, how to set the right goals. Third, how to build supportive habits. And this is the Aligned Habits Workshop. So we're really going to work on aligning those habits with your goals. So, how to build supportive habits. In other words, habits that support you in achieving your goals. And then, fourth, we're going to talk about how to stay on track or how to get back up when life throws you off of your routine or off of your habits. Now, you're here because you have some desire to find a better way to achieve your goals and to find habits that'll help you hit the level of success that you hope to in your life. Now, Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, wrote about 100 years ago, said, desire is the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything. So if you have a desire to make this your best year ever and move past all that has held you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we will turn that desire into action. We're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action you can take today to live the life of your dreams. And we're going to do this by aligning your dreams with your habits. So you may be saying, okay, man, that sounds good, but how do I know this works? Well, I know this works because I've done it over the last 7 years. I mentioned earlier moving to Vermont. This was a part of my dream. I'm living as my true self, not doing what I think I'm supposed to do, but following my passion and bringing my family along and keeping us all accountable. And it took me a ton of trial and error and learning to get to a point where my big goals and daily habits are aligned so I can live the life of my dreams every day. I have 5 kids ranging from ages 3 to 16 and running 2 businesses. I have to be focused and disciplined to ensure that we can live happily and productive. So I decided 7 years ago that I wanted to figure out why I wasn't achieving what I hoped to achieve, why I was looking in the mirror with disappointment and not seeing the joyful and successful person that I had hoped to be. Now, I'm going to save you years worth of research so that you can help get to your true self. And I'm going to save you all that time I made and all the mistakes and research that I did to become who you're meant to be, to live the life of your dreams now. Does that sound good? All right, come join me. And don't worry, this isn't going to be hard. It just requires a system that works for you. So we're going to help you with that system. So the first part I mentioned in discussing the flow of today is first, why goals fail. So we're going to talk about any past failure and reveal why clarity and alignment matter more than willpower. So at the beginning of this year, we held an inspiring 8-week course called Thrive in 25 to kick off the year right by implementing our big goals. And at the beginning of the course, I shared with entrepreneurs and professionals and parents who joined us in that 8-week challenge course a statistic that I saw on New Year's Day on LinkedIn. Someone, a mentor of mine, had posted less than 9% of adults achieve one New Year's goal, meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach 0 of them. That's really sad. You know, people have this desire to achieve something, but yet we find ourselves failing. So we started to research why goals fail or why goals don't stick. So here are the 4 primary reasons that goals fail or we don't stick to our habits. Is first, an unclear vision. So you have a big goal, but the vision for it is not necessarily clear. And second is external pressure or distractions. And we're going to talk some about all the distractions of modern life that keep us from our big goals and the external pressures that others put on us that keep us from our big goals and achieving what we want to achieve. Next is an unrealistic pace. And this is one that I'll share with you later. That was a problem for me is we started a company and we had big goals, but we set a pace to get there that there was no way that we could possibly achieve it. So we set ourselves up for failure from the very start. And the last one, and perhaps one of the most important ones we're going to talk a lot about today, is lack of identity or alignment, or lack of alignment with your true self. So you may be chasing some goal, but it's not really matched up with your true self. It may be a goal that others want you to achieve.
So, in discussing this, I want to introduce you to a quote by Robert Brault, who said, "We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far, but because we're distracted by what's right in front of us. Instead of proceeding to the mountaintop and getting to their goal of getting to the summit, these folks saw a sign that said, 'Great view this way.' So they took this scenic overview and they are looking at this view, but they're not at the top of the mountain like these folks who continued off onto the summit and they got to their goals. Again, we're kept from our goals not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. We're always taking detours. Does scrolling through news or social media get you to your goal faster? No, but it fills your brains with negative inputs of others, wastes your time, and takes your mind off what matters most. Our addictions to the phone, alcohol, drugs, and the negative news stream keep us distracted from our big goals. The distractions take us from what matters most, from our dreams and from our loved ones. Blaise Pascal, the famous French inventor and mathematician, said, "Distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries," meaning distraction is the greatest of our miseries. We all have certain vices and bad habits that we want to overcome, and we may not even recognize this dependence or the distractions as a problem, but it still may take us from our natural state. When we're taken from our natural state, we don't operate at our best. When you operate at your best, you're putting good stuff into your body and you're keeping your mind positive. So, even if you're not distracted by all the modern distractions of life, many of us are kept from our goals by that clear path to a lesser goal, meaning a smaller project comes in, or a goal comes up, or someone knocks on your door, or shoots you an email and asks you to help out. And it's easily achievable, so you jump right into it. So you leave your big goals and dreams behind. You push them off for another day, or another week, another month, another year. And that small hit makes us feel some accomplishment, meaning that small hit of helping out or tackling a lesser goal. But it delays your real goal. Your true self knows this, and your inner voice calls to you to achieve your big goals. And you may experience some success, but it's not real success that your true self requires of you. Misaligned goals create confusion and burnout. And when you lack clarity, your nervous system can't trust the distraction. This is why so many seemingly successful people aren't happy. They may be achieving professional and work success, but they're just accomplishing small daily tasks. And inside, they're unhappy because they're not aligning their daily habits with their big goals. It creates confusion and leads to burnout. Your nervous system and your brain feel they can't trust the direction you take. So you go one way when you know you need to go another, and that creates anxiety and confusion. But yet, clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious, both for yourself and for others. So that's a discussion about clarity as well as aligning goals with your true self. But another reason why goals fail, even if they aren't clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. Gandhi said, "We shut our ears to that still small voice inside us." But when you listen, that still small voice inside, you know what to do. Listening, truly listening to our inner voice propels us into our future with clarity. We all have a small voice within that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life, nudges us to our personal and professional dreams, and clamors for love and happiness. I want you to give a megaphone to that still small voice within. That is your true self and your higher power directing you where to go. When you listen to your inner voice, you are aligned and living on purpose. Goals that are not aligned with your true self create confusion and burnout, and this leads to anxiety. When you are clear on your goals and they are aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. So that's the discussion on why goals fail. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I want you to get a journal out and we're going to have some journal prompts at the end of each section. So on this section, I want you to think of a goal that you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? Again, think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? And as I mentioned before, feel free to share in the chat or raise your hand and come on camera and take yourself off mute. And feel free to share it. But just give you maybe like 2 minutes. Think of a goal that you had set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? We mentioned some of those, lack of alignment, unclear vision, unrealistic pace, and lack of alignment with our true selves and lack of clarity. So take 2 minutes and think of that.
All right, take just another, 30 seconds or so if you haven't, gotten it down yet and thinking about what really got in the way. Give it just another 30 seconds or so. All right, let's go ahead and come back. Thank you so much to those who shared. Those were some great ones, and I really appreciate. And by all means, as well, if you want to share on camera, raise your hand and come off mute. Um, Energy level. Yeah, we do let lesser goals distract us as well. Um, Gina, unrealistic pace, ran out of money with no clear path to earn. Yeah, I've been there too. I mentioned, I'll share briefly. I said unrealistic pace. We started a new company in 2020 to take folks off grid, and I'll describe it a little bit later as well in the course. But we hired a bunch of people and used money from another company to pay for starting this new company, and it was unrealistic pace. Like I mentioned, we were gonna, have thousands and thousands of customers within a period of time that it wasn't realistic to have those number of customers. So we set ourselves up for failure without sort of a clear path to revenue. So I totally get doing that and running out of money. It was tough life lessons I had to learn there. not knowing your true self or lack of alignment with your true self, Tracy, and we're going to work on that today. Uh, yeah, Chad, teaching, mentoring others is a great mission, but like you said, um, creating that, what does that mean? What does that vision really look like? Helps you be able to implement it. Once you picture it, then you can bring it to life, not just having a goal. um, Pop culture icon goal is too broad. LOL. Yeah, Gina, that is kind of broad. I guess you got to figure out how you're going to do that. Um, and yeah, we can all relate to lots of these, Rachel. So thank you so much for sharing. Those were really heartfelt and personal. I really appreciate you taking the time to share those with us. So now, what we're going to talk about is aligning your goals with your true self. We're going to get into some of that. I think someone mentioned um, lack of alignment, Tracy, with your true self, or didn't know your true self, and you may know your true self now. But we're going to talk about how you align your goals with your true self. And at the end of this section, we're going to do an exercise that's going to help you um, get closer to your true self, and you're going to meet your true self, which is a lot of fun to do and has been very productive for me. So we're going to shift from externally imposed goals to deeply personal, soul-led vision for your life, so that you can build an emotional connection to your true self. So we're going to talk about setting expansive goals and ones that excite you, not shame you, meaning that you set yourself up for failure, and aligning with your goals with your true self, and ensure that your habits are sustainable and energizing. So you get there through alignment and deliberate practice. Now, it's good to have good habits, but where are they getting you? This is the Aligned Habits Workshop. So we're not just talking about habits, we're talking about aligned habits, aligning those habits with your goals and your true self. So, meaning are your habits aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? So you need to know where you're headed. And you need to set goals in order to have habits to hit those goals. But you need to make those goals big. I mean, I love Gina's there of becoming a pop culture icon, but you want to make big goals. I love that. I mean, I absolutely love that. But you want to, it may be broad. So I like that you have big goals, but you also want to be specific. So you need to make big goals. And in other words, where do you want to be in 10 years or in 20 years? And today we're going to operate just on 10 years and use that as our long-term vision for our true self. So don't worry about where you are right now. It doesn't really matter if you're 30 or 50 or 70. Founder of the global advisory firm, a guy named Dan Sullivan, he founded Strategic Coach. It's a global advisory firm for entrepreneurs and a coaching firm. He set his 25-year plan at age 75. He set that 25-year plan at age 75 to go even bigger. And that's what excites him. And I bet he'll probably make it to 100 to see it through, just because he believes in it. And there's no end to what you can achieve at any age or at any point, but you have to go bigger. So in thinking bigger, ask yourself, what is your big inspired goal? What seems outrageous to others, but in your heart is what you need to do. This is your North Star. This is the direction you need to head. Who do you want to be in 10 years? We're going to work backwards from 10 years out, down to 3 years, and then to this year, this quarter, this month. And we're going to then implement daily habits that bring those goals to life. See, they all link. Your goals, your long-term vision for yourself, your daily habits, they're all connected. People view them as separate things, but they're all connected. You can implement that vision and be your true self today. So I have a question. Are you the same person you are today that you were 10 years ago? I know I certainly am not. It seems 10 years ago seems like forever ago, and I'm a substantially different person. I've seen so many changes. Um, like I mentioned, I have 5 kids. 3 of those weren't even alive 10 years ago. Um, my wife and I have done so many different things. I'm just such a different person today than I was. I mean, I'm even doing, a different career at this point. I view everything differently. So, are you the same person today that you were 10 years ago? And the answer most likely is no. But you know what people do? They set goals and plans as though they will be themselves, but just a little bit older. But it's not the case. You will be a totally different person in 10 years. So you want to think differently and think bigger when you look at setting your goals for 10 years from now. So there's this concept called prospection, which is it's the ability to mentally represent and evaluate possible scenarios. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes things like planning and imagining future scenarios. So again, we want to imagine future scenarios, not just, hey, I'm going to be myself, but 10 years older. Instead, you want to envision anything that you want to be. And when we envision our future scenarios, we limit ourselves a lot of times to what we know now. But yet, there are no limits. Our goal in this workshop is to open our minds and think without limits. Now, there was a long period of time when I wasn't listening to my inner voice. I'll share a deeply personal story with you, and that is when I was just 27, getting to the end of my second year of law school, and I was standing in the kitchen. It was right before exam time, and my left leg felt a little warm. And I looked down, but I touched with my hand, there was nothing there. I went to sleep that night. My leg was twitching every couple seconds. Within 2 days, I couldn't lift my left foot, and I could no longer hold a pen in my right hand or type with my right hand, which is kind of critical for law school exams. And, you know, my head was spinning and my body was deteriorating. I was only 27. I'd just been elected editor in chief of Law Journal and class president. And am I about to die? I didn't know what was going on. My bright future was quickly dimming. Now, MRIs showed that I had lesions on my brain and my spinal cord. This was the onset of multiple sclerosis. Now, I was relieved, however, when my father, who's a physician, told me that I wasn't going to die right now, but that this could get worse. And I'm thinking, like, how is this going to get any worse? Walking along gimpy, not being able to write, barely walking. And um, I I did over the next 3 years when I overdid it as a young lawyer. I had two subsequent MS flare-ups where I lost vision in each of my eyes due to lesions of my optic nerves. Now, I was pulling all-nighters on the regular, and my nervous system was telling me to slow the heck down. I'll leave it at that. I won't say what I should have said there, but it was telling me to slow the heck down. And, our body is miraculous, though, and it heals itself when we care for it properly. And although I have some residual nerve damage, thank God I've now gone almost 18 years without another flare up. But the lesson is simple. You have to listen to your inner voice when it tells you to slow down, just like you have to listen when it tells you to get up and run into your future. My point in telling you this is that I wasn't always listening to that still small voice inside. So, as I was a younger parent or as a young lawyer, like I wasn't listening. And these are lessons that I've only learned later in life. And that's why I'm sharing them with you now. I was just running in circles, hoping that things would get better. And for years, I saw sad eyes looking at me in the mirror, wondering why I hadn't hit my potential. I knew I wasn't living as my true self. Now, by all outward appearances, I seemed successful and happy to people, meaning, I was a lawyer and then an entrepreneur, and I had, nice house and a nice car and kids and wife and all that, but I was miserable. I wasn't doing what my true self was supposed to be doing. Now, in the summer of 2018, I had a complete awakening. I decided I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decided to work on improving myself and start listening and growing again. Now, I've done intense study on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. This 7-year journey has been extraordinary and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and personal, professional, and spiritual growth. And once I saw the light in the mirror, it dawned on me. I'm meant to inspire others. That's what my true self is meant to do. That's what that still small voice inside had been telling me for decades. That's why I saw sad eyes in the mirror for so many years, because living as a lawyer and then clean energy entrepreneur isn't living as my true self. I'm not making enough impact every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my true calling. What is your true calling? In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams, which you can do today by living as your true self. So, how can you do this? First, listen to your inner voice. Second, write down what you hear so you can set big goals. And third, implement daily habits that help you live as your true self and achieve your goals. So, we're going to go through some exercises that will help you realize that. But I love this quote by famous architect Daniel Burnham, who said, "Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood and probably will not themselves probably will not themselves be realized." He said, "Make big plans, aim high in hope and work." You can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. Don't go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. That's why we're here, to make big plans, to set big goals, and then create a clear path to achieve those goals, followed by habits that will make your future come to life. That's how you're going to thrive in 2025. Be bold and be specific. So we've mentioned unclear vision, or we've mentioned something being too broad. You want to be bold, but also specific. Famed business strategist and author of Good to Great, Jim Collins, you may have heard of him or read some of his books before. He said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So you want to create no more than 3 goals, 3 big goals or priorities. Everyone is so scattered nowadays trying to do everything well that we give everything only our partial attention. So if you want to thrive in 2025, and achieve big goals, you have to limit your focus, bring it in, and say no. Say no to a lot more. You want to stay focused on your goals. You want to achieve those goals, not say yes to every little thing that comes at you. So I'm going to share my system for setting big goals and then aligning them with quarterly and monthly goals. We can help you refine your goals and then set daily habits that will make realizing your goals inevitable. This is a big part of the course today. First, what I do is we're going to give you this exercise in just a little bit to do. And you don't necessarily have to write all this down because the recording is going to be made available to you. The slides are going to be made available to you. And we're also going to provide you all the tools for our true self system, which is the habitually inspired habit tracker, the goals worksheet, true self and goals and habits worksheet, as well as our epic daily ritual PDF that we're going to send you. So we'll make all those available. So anyway, we're going to help you refine that. But the first thing I do, and we're going to do this exercise in a little bit, is envision my future by meeting myself in 10 years. I do a meditation where I envision meeting myself in 10 years. So another thing you can do after that, that I do regularly, is write a letter from your future self to your current self. So write a letter to yourself from yourself in 10 years. So you in 10 years or you in 3 years, write a letter to yourself today. And that way you can see all that you've accomplished. And then you envision yourself, after you see 10 years, in 3 years, on your way to that big, bold future in 10 years. And you set 3, no more than 3, 3-year goals based on that vision of your future self or your true self 10 years from now. Now, the next thing I do is after I have that vision of myself in 3 years, I then have 3 big goals to achieve in 3 years. At the beginning of each year, I set my big goals for the next year that align with my 3-year goals. So you set annual goals based on your big 3 year goals. Then you can list your quarterly goals, what you can do in the next 90 days that get you closer to your annual goals, and then update that each quarter. Then I list my monthly goals that help me achieve the quarterly goals. And we have a worksheet for this. I don't want it to sound like too much, but 3 year goals, annual goals. Hey, there's the worksheet. Chad just makes this stuff appear. So, your 3 year goals, and then we have 1 year goals, quarterly goals, and monthly goals. And the quarterly goals and the monthly goals, you update, each quarter in each month. So this is true alignment, and it's how you bring your goals to life. And I post these goals on, right next to my desk here, and also on the mirror in my bathroom at work and at home. So this is the way that you systematize aligning your habits with your true self. And we'll share the goals worksheet with you, when we send you the recap email, but there's a little slide of it right there. And I'm just reading your comment there. Is it Lale? Is that how you pronounce that? Um, Layla? Am I saying that right? Lale? I'm not sure which one. Uh, First one, Lale. Okay, thank you. I did want to address first, you had said, was the voice inside always saying the same thing to you? Um, and I will say, I do think it was. I mean, I write about it in my book, Light in the Mirror, that'll be out in a few months. But um, yeah, I mean, inside, I've always felt like that I was supposed to inspire people. I mean, even when I was a kid, I thought of, giving speeches or, writing things that inspire people. And I found that I wasn't really doing that. And, I found out later when I would do a ribbon cutting for a solar project for a town or something, I realized I love doing that so much. But why? Because I was inspiring, students, faculty, and local leaders to achieve big goals, like realizing a goal like powering their school with the sun. So I worked on the projects, but what I really loved was the ribbon cutting, not because the project was over, but because I got to deliver some remarks and deliver a speech to inspire the audience. So, um, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always had that inside. And I get that it's hard because, you're saying you hold an image of something in your mind. You have fear that it will be taken away because you envisioned it. Um, and you can't live in fear. I mean, I was watching a great graduation speech Jim Carrey gave, commencement address this year, where he said, there are only two ways of looking at or approaching things: out of love or out of fear. You can see your goals and envision it not coming through. That's out of fear. Or you envision it with love and achieving what you were put here on earth to achieve. And then you go out and you achieve those. And even if you fall short, you're still much further ahead than you would have been than if you didn't try to go for it at all, because you were fearful that it would be taken away from you or wouldn't work out. Um, and then Hafsa, yeah, you got to write your goals down, and not only write them down, you got to be able to see them every day and think about them every day, because we are what we think about. We become what we think about. So you got to remind yourself all the time. We become what we think about. I say over and over to myself, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, what I am, and that future self I am statements. I am a servant of God. I am a spiritual leader. I am a New York Times bestselling author. I am an inspirational speaker, and I'm inspiring people to live the life of their dreams. I'm a loving husband and father. I say these things to myself over and over again. Now, am I a New York Times bestselling author yet? No, but I have a book coming out soon. And if I say it enough, hopefully it'll come true. And even if I don't quite get there, I took that chance and I finished my book, and I'm working with, my editors now. And, you say that stuff enough, you're able to realize it. So yeah, you got to write it down, and you got to see it every single day and put it there for yourself to see. No one else is going to bring your vision for yourself to life. You have to do that. And you got to remind yourself every day of it, because it's so easy to get distracted. and to fall into other people's dreams and to get distracted by all the distractions on this little device. But if you put good things into your body and your mind and you stay focused on your goals, you will achieve them. And so next we're going to talk about, making your daily habits align with those big goals. And make your goals big and simple. Take away all the nonsense that wastes your day. Get rid of the distractions and focus in on your goals and get ready to climb higher than you ever have before, because it is your time to soar. So I want to take you through that visualization that we talked about a few minutes ago. And kind of like we started today's workshop with some breathing and meditation, I want you to get back to that point of um, being fully present, returning to your breath. Now, I want you to imagine that on the other side of this Zoom is yourself from 10 years in the future. You're going to go meet that person. I want you to close your eyes and envision meeting yourself 10 years from now. Go to your happy place, your power place. Envision that your future self is waiting there for you. Yourself 10 years from now. You go meet that person. What do you notice about them? How do they carry themselves? What are they wearing? How do they spend their time? What do they tell you about what accomplishments they've achieved? And what wisdom do they have to share with you? You may ask them some questions. So we're going to take a few minutes and you're going to go meet your future self. Take a few minutes. We have it down as 5 minutes here. Let's do it for 5 minutes. Just take this time to close your eyes, find your breath, and go meet yourself 10 years from now. But think without limits. You're not just meeting yourself a little bit older. You're meeting a totally different person, your true self, the person you are meant to be. Go spend some time, ask them some questions, and come back and we'll share a little bit about what we've noticed. So take a few minutes to go see that person. All right, just take a few more seconds here. Just take maybe about 20, 30 more seconds. Yeah. All right. Hopefully, you enjoyed meeting your true self. I know I've gotten a lot out of that exercise. I do want to say, though, this is just scratching the surface and introducing the concept to you. I hope that you'll take, at least no less than 15 minutes and more like 30 minutes to meet your true self. This exercise is to show you how to do that, but you really should be, spending a much longer time because you'll gain far more wisdom from that because that is your true self. I mean, it's this vision of you in the future that you have, but that's who you truly are and want to be. No one else has put that vision of you there. That is your true self and your higher power telling you who you're meant to be in this world. So that vision of yourself, bold and confident, achieving or living how you want to live, take the time to do this exercise, beyond just today. 15 to 30 minutes or so of a meditation is a great way to do this. So now, I, if you want to take just a minute and share, that would be great. Why don't you just take just a moment if you haven't done this already and, journal, what did your future self show you? Take maybe just 2 minutes or so. Um, what did you learn? What wisdom did your future self share with you? So if you didn't write it down, take a minute to write it down. But I also want you to write down, what are 3 goals that align with your future self or true self? So call it, 3 goals that you could achieve in 3 years or 10 years. Just what are 3 goals that align with your future self? They don't have to be in a year or 2 years. Set it maybe 3 years from now. What are 3 goals that align with your future self? So take just a couple more minutes to get those down. What did your future self show you? And what are 3 goals that align with your future self? So I'll give you 2 minutes right now to get those thoughts down. All right, let's go ahead and come back. If anyone wants to share, by all means, share. If you want to put any, a lot of people mention, a few things here, being on the right path, as well as that it's hard, and this stuff is tough because there's so much to overcome. But instead of staying stuck in the past and dealing with all those challenges, or the things that have kept us stuck, we're looking into the future. of who we truly want to be. And it does take time to be able to see that person clearly and become that person. But when you have a clear path and you see who you're meant to be and the amazing person that you've always been inside, you then can start setting goals to become that person. Tracy, yes, letting go of the old stories that say I am not enough. Um, there's a great, great song. I will actually put it in the chat if I can figure out how to do that. Um, let's see. It's a weird title. It's called Gajumaru by a group called Yaima out of Washington State. Um, and yeah, there we go. I'm putting it in here. But there's a great it's a Spotify link I just put in there. But there's a great line in there about, you know, letting go of those old stories in your shadow beyond you and moving past them. Um, and it's a really beautiful expression of that and letting go of those old stories. It's just they call them the ants or the annoying negative thoughts. It's those things that are just on repeat in our mind. They're not real. It's just we need to create new neural pathways that put those beyond us, and so that we can get past those ants or negative annoying thoughts that are just stuck on repeat in our mind. They're not real. That's not no one else. I mean, some people may be telling you those, but you've created your own reality. You're replaying those in your head over and over when, that's not real. You can create any future you want by setting your vision for your true self and then creating goals and habits that'll help you get there. Uh, let's see. Lale, one, my degree path is becoming clear to me. Two, I need to get my foot in the real estate development door, focus on my communication skills so I can share what I need to share with the world. Those are great, Lale. Those are absolutely wonderful and tangible, um, big goals. And you can create habits, as you'll see in a minute. We'll start working on habits. So we've set, big vision for ourselves and some shorter term goals, and then we'll set um, more immediate goals and then the daily habits that get us there. Consistent good habits, especially getting the morning right. Check out which Chad, I'm pretty sure we make this available, the epic daily ritual. We have an epic morning and an epic evening routine. Getting the morning right, we have it laid out for you. I put a ton of research into this. I do it daily. I start my day by 5 a.m., get to sleep the night before by 10. No phone for the first hour of the day. You'll hear me say it in a little bit. um, Meditate, journal, work on your highest priority. I'm able to do all that before 6:30 when I then get kids up and ready for school. So, creating an epic morning routine is so essential for starting our day off right. um, Gina, triathlete prep now. Canadian radio hit national campaign starts tomorrow. Great. Good luck with that. Fourth Canadian radio release in the last 18 months, meeting high profile future mate potentials all the time. I love it, Gina. So much focus, on your health as well as career and your passion, and relationships too. So those are absolutely wonderful. Thank you again for sharing those. These are some of the most honest and heartfelt, expressions of our true self that people have shared. So that we have a great group today sharing. Um, how can you really get your energy level up for a good morning routine? Yeah, I mean, the energy level, I gotta say, I gave up. This is not with caffeine. I know I sound like I'm amped. I've not had caffeine for, you know, I don't know, 5, 6 years or so. Um, you create that epic morning routine. The energy level for it comes from, lots of sleep. You need at least 7 hours sleep, getting to sleep by 10 p.m. the night before, no phone or screens or anything for the last hour before you go to sleep. Evening journal, meaning you set your intention for the next day by journaling your wins for today, how you want to show up tomorrow, and your big three things that you want to achieve the next day. That way, when you wake up early, you know exactly where to go. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. Uh, You also get an energy level by waking up and meditating when your brain waves are the most creative and active and you're able to truly connect with yourself and your higher power. That brings an energy level. You don't just start. Another way is, a lot of this is in my book. I don't really talk about it in this workshop, but as soon as your feet hit the floor, say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. I do it every day. As soon as my feet hit the floor or on the short walk to the bathroom, I say to myself, it's going to be an amazing day. It's better than any caffeine jolt you could ever get. And then, you head to the bathroom for morning relief, and then you look in the mirror, which everyone does every morning. You lock eyes with yourself, you look in the mirror, and you say, I love you. Say, I love you in the mirror. Do this every single day. Say, I love you, Lale, and then you start your day. That way, you've started your day with excitement for it's going to be an amazing day and love and compassion for yourself and for others. And then you go and meditate and journal. Like Chad wrote there, journaling at night, uh, what you're going to do in the morning can help a lot. Yeah. Um, So, I mean, those are ways that I start my day with a lot of energy, and again, 5 kids and 2 businesses and, a stressful life, but I have tons of energy in the morning. And I've also, healthy diet and exercise. I mean, all of that plays into it. And that's where setting those healthy habits help you become your true self. So check out our epic daily routine. So, yeah, I mean, another great one, Lale. I mean, such beautiful, wonderful questions. I used to have that, they call it SAD, seasonal affective disorder. You ask about winter and winter's approaching. And I made the crazy, move of moving to Vermont where it's a longer winter and colder and harder. But, I even go outside and meditate a lot of times in the winter. But when you are in true alignment with your true self and with your higher power, when you have those hours of darkness, that is time when you can see more stars and you can see the light of the moon. And when you meditate in that darkness, you can see the bright light of love that you have to share. So in the winter, once you are aligned with your true self and you have an epic daily and evening routine, it doesn't matter as much whether it's, dark and gloomy outside or whether it's bright because you feel that level of love and light inside. So once you head down this path, you can't really unsee it. Now, you may get set off, which we're going to talk about later in today's workshop. You may get off course a little bit, but you'll always able to get back there. So really check out the epic daily ritual. I think you'll find that morning routine will truly get you there. So yeah, I mean, all about the moon cycles, Hobson. I absolutely love it. Um, yeah, I mean, I love sort of aligning my schedule and doing certain things in accord with the moon cycle as well. So anyway, thank you guys again for sharing those great questions, great sharing. And, now, we're going to start getting into building the habits that reinforce who you are. Um, but that version of you that you just met during your meditation and visualization, is confident, calm, clear. They're not that far away, but they live on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. And the truth is, you don't just think your way into becoming your true self. You have to experience your way into it, which is exactly why we created the True Self Project, which we're going to launch soon. So it's not quite done yet, but I'm really excited for you guys to see it when you get the chance. So keep an eye out for that. It's a 30-day habit challenge. And you in that, immersive 30-day experience, it's just a short 5 to 15 minute video every day for 30 days and I'm gonna bring it, Rachel. It's been brought in. Um, I know that's not a word. Um, we are working on it. We've filmed up to day 21. We're working on days the last week essentially. So um, we build on the things we discussed today in a much deeper framework that'll help you thrive this year. and we're going to help you reconnect with your truth and rewire how you show up in the world. So we'll come back to that later. But for now, just know it's real and your future self is waiting for you. But now we want to build habits that reinforce who you are. So, we're going to show you that you can go this way. Now that we've envisioned, this bold vision for our lives and we've set some goals, we want to turn that vision into repeatable, grounded action. This isn't just about setting a goal and then hoping you hit that goal. We're going to help you turn it into repeatable, grounded action. So we're going to explain to you how aligned habits shape your identity over time. So, I've talked a lot about, meditation here. And, when I first began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 7 years ago, it felt difficult and awkward. And I don't know why it felt awkward. I guess, I was embarrassed that maybe my wife or my boys would walk in and be like, yeah, what's this crazy guy doing sitting here in the lotus position, eyes closed. And, whatever. It felt awkward sitting there and it felt, embarrassed like someone may walk in. But, I stuck with it and it became, natural and heartfelt and habitual. And now it's a part of my daily life. And habits, both good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows, I've had my bad habits like smoking or using weed or staying up too late, or I mentioned caffeine before. But, it's a lot easier to break bad habits when you have good habits and positive reinforcement to break them. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. By retraining your brain to live a more positive, productive, and happy life, you're more easily able to achieve your goals. So even if you've done the same negative routines for years, for decades, your brain can be reprogrammed through deliberate practice. Again, we are what we repeatedly do. So if you want to see and do things differently, then set new habits and do them repeatedly. It doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, you can retrain your brain for love, happiness, and success. Positive habits are the key to making your dreams and your goals real. So, to get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. That's why we've created the Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker, which, if you haven't downloaded from our website yet, we're going to make it available after this course in an email. So there's a saying that says you can't improve what you don't measure. It says measure and track that which you want to improve. So you track your habits to make them come to life. You don't wait for your future to happen, meaning that true self you envisioned. You start being that person you're meant to be now. You don't have to wait 10 years. You're going to do those things that your future self does, and you're going to start doing them now to live as your true self now. It helps to measure and track your progress. Now, do you automatically wake up tomorrow and you're that person? No, but tracking your habits helps you get there faster. So to race towards your future, it's much easier to create and measure the habits that bring you closer to the person you want to be. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult. Make it simple. The Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker we created is simply a way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. So, we've shared it there in the chat as well. Yeah, and it does definitely help, Lele. So this chart is broken out by week. You just write the habits you want to work on, whether, practice regularly or improve, that'll help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. So think of those things that improve your mind or your body or your spirit. Things like meditating or exercising or eating right, or, an hour of flow on your top work priority, or reading certain books that inspire you. Maybe you just want to track progress on a work goal or a fitness goal. I lost over 30 pounds from tracking my intermittent fasting. For now, let's just focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. Try to make those habits that will help you achieve your 3 big goals. The habit tracker is a great way to do that on paper or digitally. Remember, though, like I just said a few minutes ago, if you do it on your phone or a computer, do not use your phone for the first hour you're awake, except maybe to turn off an alarm or maybe play some positive music or listen to some inspiring content or a video while you work out or maybe while you meditate, a guided meditation. So, the reason you don't want to use technology when you wake up is that you may get stuck on the app or track that you use to track your habits and then switch to checking emails or text. Orienting your day properly is essential to living a life of joy. So don't check emails, text, social media, or communicate with anyone other than yourself for the first hour you're awake. That's how you set your intention for the day. Instead of being sucked into what everyone else wants you to focus on, you get to set your intention for the day. You get to work on your habits. You get to do those things that help get you to your true self. So I've been tracking daily habits for over 5 years now. And remember that quote by Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. So my what I'm tracking does change slightly from quarter to quarter based on what I'm working on or trying to improve, but many of my habits have been the same for the last 5 years. For example, of how they change, like, I told you I meditate every day, so I have like my habit tracker usually goes, sleep at 10, wake by 5, meditate, journal, hour flow on top priority. Well, when I wanted to write my book, knowing that I got up and got in a flow state with meditating and journaling, during that time that I was working on my first book, The Light in the Mirror, I added right from 5:30 to 7 as my first activity of the day when there are no disruptions and my brain's in the right state. That habit helped me hit the goal of writing my book in just 6 months because I did it every day and I tracked it. I made that commitment to myself and I hit my goal. So here's what I'm currently tracking now. Uh, and these are what I track each day. Not that I have to do all of these every day. A lot of these are work week, maybe 5 days a week, and some of these are 7 days a week, but do what works for you. And there's a little column in the habit tracker that says number of times that week. So you can put, 4, 5, 7. Maybe you want to exercise 3 days a week. Just do what works for you. So I'm tracking sleep by 10, wake by 5, meditate, journal, 1 hour flow on top priority, read a spiritual book, read the Tao Te Ching. That's because I'm currently working on a book called Lead with Spirit. Um, 30 to 60 minutes of quality content, whether it's a book or video, exercise or yoga, and PM journal, that journaling I mentioned at the end of the day, which is celebrate your wins for the day, how you want to show up tomorrow, and your big 3 priorities for the next day. So, is this what I'm tracking perfect? No. Do I get every single habit done every single day? Sadly, no. Life gets in the way, or I miss one or two or more of the habits. But on the days when I am at my best, I hit all my habits. And those days become more frequent the longer I track my habits. I make time for them. I make sure I do these like my life depends on it. And you know what? My future self does depend on it. I can't reach my goals if I'm not doing these habits. And as I go along, I have more days at my best and I hit them all more often. That which is being measured is actually improving. Track what works best for you, though. Look at the goals you're setting, look at your goals worksheet, and see what you need to do to hit those goals and make those areas your daily habits. Like that person you met, your future self. What is that person you dream of being? What do they do each day? You journaled about the vision of yourself in 10 years. What does your future self do each day that you aren't doing now? Pick those things and be that person by practicing each day. Practice to be your future self, and you'll quickly become that person. My life is improving each day because I'm tracking that which matters most to me and holding myself accountable by tracking it. I can see it on a piece of paper each day. So I guess 4 years ago, I envisioned my future self and I wrote, remember I said the letter from yourself, future self to yourself now. And I did that. And I took those actions that my future self took. I even started dressing like that person I had envisioned. My future self didn't used to wear, this white collarless shirt, but when I envisioned my future self, that's what I was wearing. So I went out and bought a bunch of these shirts. Was it me? It was me, but it was different. It was the me that I wanted to become. And I started transforming into that person that I wanted to become. I started tracking the habits that my future self would do, and I did them. And I started to become that person. Now, did I reach him fully? No, not yet. But my vision for my future self continues to grow, and new habits will emerge as I continue to evolve. So the question is, who do you want to become? And next, are you fired up to become that person? Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. So that's why when discussing big goals and living the life of your dreams, we're going down to habits because habit is what keeps you going. So people mentioned earlier, not hitting some of the goals they hoped to hit or habits that didn't work out. It's because habit is what keeps you going when you set big goals. Motivation just gets you started. So we're here to thrive this year, not, we want to set big goals, but this year, we're going to accomplish those goals because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. So, we're going to work on habits for a few minutes now. And again, we're just going to do a quick exercise, and then you can do this. We're going to make the habit tracker available to you in the email recap. So, I want to know, what are 5 to 10 habits? Just take maybe 3 minutes here. What are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your true self, yourself in 3 years? All right, take just another few seconds. I see a couple things in there. Just take 20 more seconds. If you want any feedback, on setting habits, by all means, ask. All right, let's go ahead and bring it back. Some good ones there. I appreciate you sharing. Consistent night routine, Chad. I see routine, Lale, good morning routine, and less naps. Morning routine, Hoffs and I see that as well. Um, yeah, what I want to say is when you have something broad, I just want to give a little feedback. When you have something broad like good morning routine or consistent night routine or morning routine, be more specific about those. What is that routine? You don't want to just put in your habit tracker morning routine. You want to put, you know, meditate, journal, exercise, flow on top priority, or, um, you know, gratitude journal, or tell someone you love them, or check in on friends or family. Like put in like Hafsa said there, intention setting in the morning. So is that journaling, is that meditation? Like put it in and track how many times you do that during the week in your habit tracker. um Diligent follow through. Lale, one good thing to do that is, you can have diligent follow through on the wrong things as well. So you may want to put, diligent follow through on your top priorities. You don't want to just follow through on stuff that doesn't help get you to your big goals. Um, Great things like, physical alignment, stretching, cardio, definitely put those in there, set goals for those. Chad, I love that check in on people just because um, obviously things like limiting social scrolling or social media, set times for those. And I've said it before. Um, you want to put stuff like, no phone for the first hour of the day and the last hour before bed. Goal mapping. Yeah. And Hafsa, on goal mapping, you may want to set a routine for that where you're doing that, once a week or a couple times a week, um, and healing and practice self-compassion. Be specific about that. What are you doing for healing? And then how many times a week are you doing it? That's how you build those habits. Um, Immediately get out of bed on rising. Yeah, no phone for the hour. That's great. Gina, meditate, hour flow on top priority, hour triathlon workout, social media. Yeah, these are good, very specific. Social media career, rehearse, write. I mean, you do need some specifics, and schedule those in. Schedule those into your calendar, track those in your habits. Um, Tracking food is good. I mean, like I said, I lost 30 pounds by through intermittent fasting and tracking it on an app. Uh, Journal for the next day. The PM journal is so good. You'll see that. I think we explain that further in the Epic Daily Ritual. Yoga. Oh, Hafsa, I got back to yoga this week. I mean, I've been doing yoga regularly before that, but what I mean by that is I've gotten to yoga every morning this week, and it's absolutely wonderful getting back in that and making it such a routine. I'm certified as a Yin yoga instructor. I got my certification in December, which I just did to further my own practice. But now that I'm up here, I might actually start teaching some for fun. Um, what we used to do before scrolling, I don't know, Lale. What did everyone do? I Yeah, I guess they talked to each other, and read books, and I don't know, watch TV. Unfortunately, that was sort of the mindless entertainment back then. Um, I like that, Hafsa, painting once a week. That's certainly a great outlet as well. on Canvas month to month. Very good. Good to make those specific about your creative outlets. Uh, Kara Care is a good app for tracking. Thank you for sharing that, Lily. All right. Now let's talk about how we overcome setbacks and build resilience so that nothing can stop you. Because things do get in the way. Life does come up. These things don't always go perfectly. I mean, I've been tracking habits for years, and I go periods of time where there's a lot in flux, and I may not track my habits for a couple weeks, and I know that I'm out of routine. um and I know that, and I crave getting back into that routine. So when you've set aligned goals and build the habits to match them, you're not just chasing results, you're becoming someone new. So this new person you've created starts feeling out of sorts when you're not in those habits, and when things knock you off. I shared a little bit in the beginning, we were talking about setting some goals, and yeah, the or I guess we were talking about habits and why they may not have worked out. I was letting you know about a goal that didn't work out, where we were trying to get to that goal too quickly and hadn't necessarily thought through the revenue model properly. And in April of 22, we officially launched this new off-grid energy company called OhmGrid, which was in direct response to this new role that home took on after COVID. Everyone was at home. And we'd always done clean energy projects like solar and energy generation projects for schools and towns and stuff. But we decided to take that to residents, to avoid grid outages, so many power outages nowadays. And we were burning through cash to support an expanding team and a marketing budget. But by July, our accountants told me that we couldn't make it much longer without commitment of these investors I was courting to invest in our company. So I knew the writing was on the wall. Our team was excited and prepared, but by October, we had dwindling investor interest, and I had to make the heartbreaking decision to let go of our team. And these are people I deeply cared about. I had, hired this team of wonderful professionals to, bring this product to market to residents about off-grid energy. And that day that I let everyone go was so painful, and I took a long walk that day, and I hiked in the woods, near the lake near my house. And I went further than I ever had gone before in the woods. And I kept going, deeper and deeper. And finally I went past where the trail was, and I went further into the woods. And the trail ended. I kept going, and I'm going through like thick brush, and then thorns start pulling at my pants. And I just was like, I got to find a path to the other side of the lake, which I knew had to be there somewhere. But I didn't find it. And I looked over to my right, and I saw a creek. And I thought to myself, the creek I know goes back to the lake. So I took off my shoes and I put my feet in the water, in this, cold, shallow, late October water. And as I walked through the creek, I thought, we always find a way through. So when you take a risk and you listen to your inner voice and pursue a path, it's not about whether you get to the end goal. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process of becoming your true self. So when you set big, audacious goals, even if you fall short, you end up much further ahead than you were before. So don't be fearful of pursuing this path. You're going to end up being better even if you fail. You'll be much further ahead than if you didn't try at all. And tracking your habits isn't a test. You're not competing with anyone else. You're keeping track so you can improve. Don't beat yourself up if you don't do well or don't even track your habits for a week. Some weeks won't be as strong as others. Yet, if you want to live in bliss, then keep tracking and improving, because you will continue to get better and better. And, a few weeks ago, I had the best week I had ever had. And in tracking my habits for 5 years, I had almost a perfect score for the week, 10 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s almost every day. I felt great and was focused, living inspired and on point. But then a couple weeks after that, my wife ruptured her Achilles dancing at a kid's party. And again, we have 5 kids, and it was the end of school year. And I mean, our life ground to a halt. I was caring for her and our 5 kids and taking everyone, to the end of school. I forgot my 3-year-old daughter's shoes when we were dropping her off at school. I mean, I was a mess. I was so far off my routine, caring for my wife and all 5 of my kids. And, my wife was basically immobilized for about 6 weeks. And thank God she's now finally getting a little bit better. And she's a teacher. She's back in the classroom now. School started. And she's in a boot, and it's improving though. She's limping along. But I was so off my routine. My habits were way off. And I mean, I wasn't even tracking. I can't even say my weekly score was low because I wasn't even tracking for weeks. Life got in the way. But like I mentioned, this week, now that we've moved and we're settled, I got back to my habits. I got back to my routine and did those habits that helped me to get back to that state of balance and bliss, to continue on towards my true self and accomplish and meet my future self. So you aren't always going to feel that balance. Either busy life takes you from your healthy habits like sleep, meditation, journaling, exercise, or something happens that gets in your mind, those negative recurring thoughts take over again and say you're not good enough, or you're not going to be able to achieve this, or you don't deserve this. But it's not true. And it's not always perfect. But the more you work at it and trust your true self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self. No matter how busy you are, and no matter what negativity impacts your life, you're never too busy or distracted to take 2 seconds to look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. You're never too tired to put your hand on your heart and say, I love you as you drift off to blissful sleep. Instead of staring at the phone, put your hands on your heart and just say, I love you, and send love to everyone you interacted with today. You got to keep going, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. When your computer isn't working right and you get that dreaded spinning wheel of death saying that you're not going to, come back on, and your document crashed, you know, you don't just sit there and wait. You reboot. You hit Control Alt Delete, or you hold down the power button. And when things aren't going well in life and you're off your game, reboot yourself. Go back, look at your habit tracker, and begin again the next day. Begin again getting to your true self. This is your reboot. This rate brings you back to your true self, and it brings you back to accelerating towards your big goals. Once you head down this path and see the light it brings you, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee the light in the mirror and all around you. Even when you have bad days, those days get shorter and less frequent. You can change the trajectory more quickly. Your habits keep you going and help you get back to who you were meant to be. When a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day knocks you off track, get back to tracking your habits and find your alignment with yourself again. You'll see, one thing I didn't mention earlier is you'll see on the habitually inspired habit tracker that there's space at the bottom for your big 3 annual goals, your quarterly goals, and your monthly goals. So you have complete identity alignment. Not only you have tracking daily, you're also looking at those goals, and you're going to achieve those goals. You're not going to be one of those statistics like we saw when I mentioned that statistic of 91% of people don't hit their goals. So next, I want to proceed to close, and this will just take a few minutes, but we want to cement this transformation and invite continued momentum, past today. And then hopefully you'll do the 30-day habit challenge, which is going to be out soon. I think you'll love that. It goes much deeper into all this. And I want to ask you a quick question. And what's one insight from today that you're taking with you and living as your true self starting today? So what's one habit you're taking with you, or what's one insight from today that you're taking with you to start living as your true self? And just take, 30 seconds, throw it in the chat, or, write it down, whatever works for you. What's one insight from today that you're taking with you to start living as your true self? All right. Let's go ahead and come back. No phone for the first hour and last hour of the day. Yes, Chad. Connect with my true self. And it's okay to visualize a goal. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose it. But if you do not visualize it, you will lose it. Yep. Because you'll not have enough clarity to make it real. Yeah. I mean, you got to go after it. That's wonderful. Yeah. Like Chad said, great insight. Um, Immediately waking, meditate, no phone, 1 hour over our top priorities, journal prep, 3 goals for next day, takeaway, get clear on what your core values are and make sure your goals align with them. Yep. 3 goals, habit track daily. Yep. Get clear, practice self-compassion in the morning. Yeah, beautiful, Hafsa. Love that. All right. Well, let's proceed to thank you so much for sharing those. And I gotta say, I really love everything that everyone has shared. We had a wonderful group today, and everyone really, submitted heartfelt responses. Um, so yeah, I mean, we got some homework there. I guess we can give you that homework um, that you can do. We're gonna do a little bit of a closing here as well, but I, I want you to do these. Yeah, we've taken at least 15 minutes to imagine meeting yourself 10 years in the future. That future self exercise that we did. Truly take the time to do that. Uh, and write a letter from your future self, that person you met in your mind, to your current self. Yourself in 10 years writes a letter to yourself now. What do they say? You know, mine had so much compassion, was so proud of me for all that I had done. I didn't expect these words to just flow on the pen when I was writing as my future self. Um, and so it was such a fun exercise to do. Um, and I see you got there. Let me just put that in the chat as well. Oh, thank you. We got it. Chad got it in there for me. Yep, you got my email. It's ben@benparvey.com. Just feel free to reach out, Rita. Happy to help and chat further. Um, so yeah, do those homework assignments. Do at least 15 to 30 minutes for meeting your future self, that exercise we did earlier, and also write that letter from your future self 10 years from now to yourself now. What do they have to teach you? So as we proceed to close, you know, now it's the time to launch. Now it's time to put on your spacesuit and climb into the shuttle on the launch pad to skyrocket into space. So I love this thought that there was a quote that said, staring at the ocean, um, how's it go? Staring at the ocean is great, but it won't get you across the sea or something like that. And similarly, staring at the stars is inspiring, but it won't make you an astronaut. It's time to launch. A lot of preparation goes into launching a spaceship to blast off into the stars. But the voyage only begins, though, with the decision to climb aboard and fly through the atmosphere that stands between you and your destination. I know from personal experience that it's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person you see in your mind, and it seems like it's either impossible or just taking forever to get there. But it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. You can either continue to go through the motions or live the life that you are meant to live. You can stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stare at the stars, or you can launch yourself into space. You can stay in that same painful job or create the career you want. You can stare at the phone, or you can play with your kids. You can stay up late watching TV, or you can get up early and meditate. You can busy yourself on social media or email, or you can make real progress on your goal. You can be miserable in that relationship that you've outgrown, or you can find true love with the person that brings out the best in you. You can sing the song you're meant to sing, or you can keep it bottled inside. These are all tough choices. Some of these are really tough, but they're yours and yours alone to make. I love this quote that says, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Your life is only created by you, and we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of happiness and bliss today by deciding to do so. But staying as tight in your bud is far more painful than the risk it will take for you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you are meant to be. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life inspired. Remember that Mandela quote from earlier in the workshop. There's no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. You are capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Do not play small. Do not settle. You know what you are capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper, and then take action every morning to get you closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter that much. Most people spend their days accomplishing small tasks and going through a bunch of little actions instead of taking big actions for significant blocks of time to get to seemingly impossible goals. The digital world and fast paced modern life have trained us to feel busy, but yet not very productive. All the busyness keeps us from designing a bold vision for our lives and then planning out the journey and the small habits that get us there. As Les Brown put it, I love this quote. Most people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Don't aim for these low targets accomplished by menial tasks. Aim high. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and start what we recommended here today, you'll find true freedom and happiness. To care for others, you first have to care for yourself. So you can make excuses or you can awake with intention. Look in the mirror, say, I love you, and then implement the steps prescribed today to return to your natural state and be the person you are meant to be. Don't wait until that still small voice inside is suppressed to a faint whisper and you don't hear it anymore. You know what you need to do. If you pause for a moment to listen, to truly listen, you will hear your higher power in your inner voice calling you to be the force for great good in this world that you are meant to be. Listen to it, write it down, and then every day do what's necessary to get you closer to being the brilliant light you're meant to be. See the light in the mirror every day and watch it glow and grow. Life is to be lived and lived out loud. Life is to be enjoyed with enthusiasm. Love is to be shared and spread far and wide. The journey isn't always smooth, and roadblocks always pop up unexpectedly. But the tools provided today make the journey smoother and get you around the roadblocks even faster. Those that love you will be there for you. I love you and will be there with you on your journey. I'm always happy to help guide you up the mountain as you climb to meet your true self. So as your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, simply say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. Walk into the bathroom, step in front of that mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out into the world. The world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awake with intention, with your goals set and your habits aligned, put down the phone, turn off the negative news, and just listen to that still small voice inside you. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear. And don't wait. Turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to be the person you are meant to be, to live your life aligned with love, happiness, and bliss. Thank you guys so much for being here for today, for your participation. I'll stay on for question and answers. And just know that if this workshop woke something up in you, know that our True Self project that's coming soon and our 8-week challenge course, the Thrive in 25 8-week course, is going to be coming out soon for later in the year to set our goals for next year. And so, if you're curious, open, or even just intrigued, you can always scan one of the QR codes and follow us and keep an eye out for those. So, if you're ready to transform your life and get clear on your big goals, follow us and stick with us because we're going to have lots more tools to help you do that. So, thank you all so much for joining today. Wonderful shares that everyone had. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability and sharing those. And yes, Bettina, we did record these. And, after, as it says there, we're going to send an email probably later today or tomorrow morning that has a recording of today. And it'll also have our habit tracker worksheet, our epic daily routine, as well as our new goals week worksheet as well, where some of the things that we worked on during this course are laid out in there that you have, your true self meditation, your 3-year goals, annual, quarterly, and monthly goals, and then your habits. So those will all be available to you. All right. Anyone have any questions? Anything else before we proceed to close? Happy to stay on and answer any questions you may have. By all means, put them in the chat, or you can, come on camera and unmute, and happy to answer any. If not, if you have to drop, bless you all. Thanks so much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your week.